I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe, off of that side, I'm in that new cool. My nigga, I been fired. I said what I said, right? Yeah, I get that check, right? I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe, off of that side, I'm in that new cool. My nigga, I been fired. I get that check, right? Yeah, hey, I don't do no fake love. Tell no fresh shape up. The way we lit, they throwing shade, but they never say nothing. Bitch, I'm that maze runner. I've been known to stay stunned. My drip on Blade Runner. And the way we move, it ain't no creases on my A1s. 2021, about to be mine, word to my day ones. Niggas shoot me blindside, I aim straight for the frame time. I don't take no L's, my boy, I learned from y'all mistakes. I just up my rate, I made my way, get out of my lane, bruh. Now we got some traction, everything been so surreal. I'm trying to get used to keeping check of how I feel. Ex is somewhat stressed, she dropped the ball, but that's a well. I just tied the knot linked to the game, she got a pill. I'm much more concerned with how my time about to be billed. Need a couple meal tickets in my pocket till the bill. Quick to flip a bill, bitch, I'm about to profit. I'm a real nigga with them wheels spinning, never stopping on that boss shit. Yeah, the top end in the back seat. Fuck a critic and an analytic. Independent of me just beginning. Clearing anybody interfering. Tough loss, keep it tucked off. Something clutch through the brush off. Free spirit, make the trust fall, right? Look at my neck, right? I get that check, right? I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe, off of that side, I'm in that new cool. My nigga, I been fired. I said what I said, right? Yeah, I get that check, right? I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe, off of that side, I'm in that new cool. My nigga, I been fired. Next fashion week, we touching pay, that shit necessary. Double G kid, she speaking French, but I'm not understanding. Mom sent no flicks of my daddy, that drip hereditary. Niggas talking like I ain't X, let me just prove that theory. I don't do pretend, I don't like percents. I'm not cool with friends of friends. I don't do the trends, I set them, I ain't lacking shit. I can't do content. Double rope chain necklace make her wet, she jumping out of skin. The brony almost caught her straight from round away on split decision. We treat now like all we got is the moments we in. Always want to keep it real. Lately, I can't tell if niggas really about that shit they saying or they say it just to sell. Ain't worried about no bill. Cause when you building what we build, you know we headed where the bread is. Got the squad up going with me. Subtle flex, I need that check, so fuck a hype beast. Last year was some shit, but now my life been moving light speed. I was down bad, but now we way up where them kites be. Flip that to a movie, I star at the same time I'm Spike Lee. Niggas really tight, I turn my life into they pipe dream. She say she wanna sightsee, let's start with what the night brings. Look at my neck, right? I get that check, right? I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe, off of that side, I'm in that new cool. My nigga, I been fired. I said what I said, right? Yeah. I get that check, right? I'm so blessed, right? Off of that jet pipe, off of that side, I'm in that new cool. My nigga, I been fired. Lately it's looking like everything perfect. Out the mud with it, I put the work in. You can find me where that turf is. Pin precision like a surgeon. Bad ones used to curve me. Showing up to the show when the curve split. She know that I'm worth it. I'm finna go up on area. I got the hit stash, got a bracelet for impact. Real tricky with the flip from pretty penny to a thick stack. Quick stack. Think fast and I talk real. I give a fuck about how they feel. Me and Zay just dropped the propane and it sounded like that's a pill. For my dog on my ride to the wheels kill. Got his hand on the hammer, so keep it legit. I've been the man with the blueprint. I won't stop till I own every brick. I used to lay out in the line just to feel the world spin on its axis. Now I got the access and the lash got it off in the passion. I keep it 100 on the dash, now that we got us some traction. Slick talker, I'm a showstopper, you are not solid. Trade cops couldn't go a mile in my toe box. Stunning shade with the Visine. Light it up and bring the vibe in. Line fit, color spot beam on me. I'm a star every night lit, ultraviolet. Hey, I told her make sure that phone is on silent, so we know what the vibe is. Take a look in my iris. I think she know that I'm high risk. I never know what the time is. I never know what my mind went. Hey, I got a lot on my plate. I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. Yeah. It's a lot on my mind, and I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. I'ma make sure that we, hey, I got a lot on my plate. I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. It's a lot on my mind, and I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. I'ma make sure that I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, bitch, I'm self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me. That quick to tell my guard up. I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign the deal. I got the royalty in the mill. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I move on the top, that shit high risk. I never know where my mind went. Hey, I got a lot on my plate. I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. Hey. It's a lot on my mind, and I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. I'ma make sure that we, hey, I got a lot on my plate. I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. Hey. It's a lot on my mind, and I got an eye on the prize, and I'ma make sure that we straight. I'ma make sure that we.
What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? What's good, everybody? Of course, we're back here on FMP. Me, DS1 Ross, and my brother, the Book of Ronan, man. This is Foundational Manhood Podcast, episode 3. Episode 3, man. As y'all can see, failure is not your birthright. Fellas, failure is not your birthright. Let's get into it. On you, my brother.
Today's 5-minute fire watch is a message to you guys who are listening. And I remember overhearing on social media a pastor saying you were a purpose before you were a person. And it hit different. Not just in hearing it, but understanding the necessity of it. This is why, fellas, the message for you today is it is your duty, is a means of survival to literally fuck the shit out of your purpose. In all of us, we have our masculine light. We were put here to do something great. Some things we have yet to understand, but it's on us to look internally to fix those things, understand ourselves, master ourselves. And you know at that moment, when you find out the reason why you're here, that's when you unlock your superpowers. That's why we deal with a lot of suppression. We get people who try to program us to settle. We get people who talk these negative narratives to us. All these means to not see the greatermost part of ourselves, because they fully understand that when we realize that shit, we literally become unstoppable. We're able to stay up long hours doing what we love to do because we find the joy and not just doing what we do, but seeing the better part of ourselves. You got chicks who will literally fuck you out of your purpose. Friends too. Sometimes you find out the hard way. Not only are you sleeping with the enemy, sometimes the enemy has birthed you. Sometimes you put the ring, a wedding ring, on your enemy's finger. And they'll try any and everything to validate you by eliminating you. It's a whole bait and switch type of situation. This is why we said on the last podcast, understanding yourself and your masculine light will reveal either you're a lighthouse, which will ward off the charted waters and bring people to safety with your light, or you could be a strobe light, where you're in the club, subject to deception, tripping on over things, and when everything is revealed to you, that 10 you saw in the club is a built bad mud duck, built like a couch pillow. So when it comes down to it, fellas, when you fuck the shit out of your purpose, you learn how to use those 4 P's around yourself. You're able to provide by nurturing what you are able to procreate, that seed within you. Not just your semen, but your substance. You're able to problem solve things, weigh the merit of things worth your time, energy, toll, that they're definitely not worth the trouble nor threat. And your protection. When you find value not just in yourself and what you do, you'll do anything, especially give your last breath to protect it. Because of all the shit you've been put through and you worked hard to get to that point, you're not taking another step back unnecessarily unless it's strategic and it makes sense. So fellas, from here on out, when it comes to fucking the shit out of your purpose, it is your duty to go raw. Not only is the universe in your nuts, but when you tap into the greatermost part of yourself, you drive those people outside of your universe insane. That's my 5-minute fire watch.
Man. Just like my brother, man. Shout out to you, bro.
I'm focused, man.
As y'all can see, today's show, failure is not your birthright. And how we're going to start out today's show is we're going to start out with a quick clip, and then we're going to get right into it. Shit. Now, what everyone just saw was just one clip. I have multiple clips of Skid Row. As y'all know, me and my bro, FMP and BGP, we did a great collaboration. You know, we went out to Cali. We had a great time. We also put the work in. We did the necessary work. And, you know, I said I wanted to go to Skid Row because I wanted to see what people have been speaking about for years, because that place is like legendary or famous for some reason. And I wanted to know why. And man, the shit crushed me to see black men out there living with homelessness in abundance. Because as y'all saw, you had homeless men on both sides of the street. Both sides of the street. For the most part, it was a bunch of black men out there. And today, we have a generation of young men who are living their lives without a care. They're actually living their lives as if they were homeless. Mm-hmm. And on today's show, I want to let brothers know that failure is not your birthright. You see that guy sitting there with the hat on, the black guy with the hat with the beer in his hand sitting at the bus stop? That's not your life, black man. That is not your purpose. That is not why God made you. That is not why God made you. He didn't make you to struggle. He didn't make you to fail. He didn't make you for anything negative. And this is what I want brothers to understand and why I showed that clip. Because a lot of you guys, man, y'all are taking a lot of things for granted. and y'all are not focused on how you are laying the blueprint for the next generations to come. And if Skid Row and black men living on Skid Row is being made cool by content creators and production companies such as Soft White Underbelly. Soft White Underbelly shows the failure of people, downtrodden people. And I notice he goes to Skid Row to get a lot of his people. So I want to let the people know, the young people who watch Soft White Underbelly, that failure is not your birthright. Don't think, or don't even try to imagine that being you. Don't even try to imagine it. I know there's a lot of things going on in society. Shit is hard. Things are expensive. But failure is not your birthright. Failing is part of winning.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, you got to understand that you're going to lose, but that doesn't make you a failure. What you think, bro?
Man, it's kind of hard to follow that one. I will say, this is why I'm going to personally put my level of contention on this high value man bullshit. Because in many cases, you'll have places like LA, New York, Miami, Chicago, myriad other places. When you allow yourself mainly to become a 2P type of guy, you're not able to handle adversity nor failure. And homelessness usually starts emotionally, internally. Most guys figure they find their value in solely their job or who they're connected to or what is deemed as a level of status. And we've seen a lot of guys who literally cracked when they lost everything. You saw that in COVID. Or when you had guys who had to stay home with the people that they hooked up with. They started to see the real individual that was in their house. And they saw a version of homelessness. Like, I don't want to be around this person. This person ain't what I thought they'd be. And because you're a 2P type of guy, where they tell you you got to make a certain value amount to appeal to women solely. Fuck what you got going on. Fuck what you want and need, your purpose. They want you to adhere to someone's nonsensical standards and demands. No, demands got under the guise of standards. This is where a lot of guys end up. Left on the underbelly of thriving cities. Quarantined off from society, and you got people who walk past you, which shows you how important agency is. Because if they had agency, they wouldn't be in this condition. Or if they do have a measure of it, they have to find it somewhere where the authorities can't intervene with it. That's where you get those tent cities and whatnot. But all in all, you trying to meet someone's standards instead of your own. This is where I've seen a lot of guys, women, children end up. Because they accepted failure as their birthright, and they shouldn't.
I'm gonna say this. If you are a man that operates solely off the 2Ps, then you were raised to fail.
Yes, sir.
And this is why we're doing today's show, because we want to let you brothers know that it's time for you to become a whole man.
Yeah.
So you can give yourself a full opportunity and a full shot at life. You can't give yourself a full shot at life being a half man.
No.
There's a lot you're missing. There's a lot you didn't see. There's a lot you still didn't experience. And I want to let you brothers know to stop voluntarily robbing yourself. Because what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for an epic fail. You're setting yourself up for an epic fail. And we have to stop thinking that is the path in the way in the light of black men, because that's not who we are. That is not who we've never been those men.
No.
And we cannot allow negative media portrayal to people like Soft White Underbelly to continue to promote black men in a certain light, to then create this thought pattern in younger black men's mind that I'm going to be that guy at the bus stop one day. When if the children are the future, they should never see themselves at the bus stop. But due to negative media portrayal, this is what's going on. And shout out to you, bro, for sending in this article speaking on homelessness. But like you said, homelessness starts from within.
Yeah.
And I spoke on this the other day on my platform, speaking on emotionally bankrupt. A lot of men today are emotionally bankrupt.
Yeah.
And the guys who are on the streets, they ended up on the streets because it started with them being emotionally homeless, them being emotionally bankrupt, them having nowhere to go and having nobody to reach out to. That leads to homelessness.
Before you go into it, it's like speaking from personal experience. This is a person who was homeless twice. And learned quite a few times what it's like to be emotionally homeless. Being a 2P type of dude. Only thing about provision, protect and provide.
Yeah.
And truth be told, with all that amount of stress, straight up disrespect, lack of agency, it nearly killed me. Like literally at work, had my head split open by a metal pallet with a frayed end. And then you come back to your place of residence and the woman you're dealing with is not providing you peace. You're just fresh out the hospital, got a bandage on your head, you're kind of woozy, and she wants to have a 5-hour argument. There's a lot of guys who are in situations where you're experiencing pre-homelessness. Because if you're not experiencing respect on your job, in the house, or wherever you reside, there's no love there. There's no protection there. You're prey. But when you give those 4 P's to yourself, you're a different animal now. You start building that level of resilience to where you can lose everything, which I have before. And a matter of a few weeks ago, almost a month ago, you saw our black asses out there showing you what we've shown you as far as like Skid Row, but moving in ways that we didn't expect to, but then we spoke into existence. You got to make a home within yourself. That way you can create that home environment around yourself, be it the people you have in your house, but mainly when you look around your surroundings, it's what you built, which is a reflection of what you made within yourself.
Facts, bro. I totally agree, man. And that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man. Let's get into this article.
Let's get it.
It's by the covenanthouse.org. homeless issues.
Mm-hmm.
It says the issues. How many youth are living on our streets? What dangers do they face? One of the issues that they face, racial discrimination. Racial discrimination among all young people facing homelessness in the United States. Young people of color are particularly at risk. What does that equate to? Constant threat of extinction. Let's move on. Chaplain Hall of the University of Chicago estimates that for Black and African American youth, the risk of homelessness is 83% higher.
Damn.
And for non-white Hispanic or Latino youth, it is 33% higher than its white peers. So when you're talking about African American youth compared to white youth, it's an 83% chance that your child will be homeless before a white boy. These are facts. This is not FMP is not saying this.
Mm-mm.
This is an article written by the covenanthouse.org. Y'all take it up with them. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. Anyone? Vouchers? Anyone? HUD, in their 2019 annual homelessness assessment report, shows people of color experience homelessness at rates disproportionate to their share of the American demographic pie. Meaning, on that chart, what they're saying is we take up most of the goddamn chart. Black and African American people comprise 40% of all people facing homelessness. 40%, bro. Though there are only 13% of the U.S. population.
Allegedly.
Somebody's lying.
Somebody lying their ass off.
Hispanic and Latino people make up 22% of the homeless population and 18.5% of the overall U.S. population. And Native American people face homelessness at about 3 times their population share of 1.3%. Among young people facing homelessness, the statistics stretch even further. The Basook Center, through its support and partnerships for anti-racist communities program, studied youth homelessness in 6 U.S. communities: Atlanta, Georgia, of course, Columbus, Ohio, Dallas, Texas, San Francisco, California, Syracuse, New York, and Pierce County, Washington. That's up there by Seattle.
Yep.
And found that Black youth were the most overrepresented group among all young people facing homelessness ages 18 to 24. You hear this, bro?
I hear it.
What do you think about that? Because 18 to 24.
A lot of our youth are broken early. And we talked about how in many places in social media and abroad, they monetize mediocrity. So
Sure.
As we talk about young men having that spark, that light, aside from us getting fed drugs like Ritalin and all that crazy shit. And then you have those predators inside and outside the home. They experience homelessness in broken homes before anything. So aside from the prisoner pipeline, situation, what happens, let's say, and you have both parents or single parents. Our youth experience homelessness early, either as latchkey kids and gone worse, or they're in a place where abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse takes place. But whatever happens in his house stays in his house. That's what we're told.
Until you have to leave the house because you get evicted.
Yeah.
Man, wow.
Yeah.
So let's continue. Black youth accounted for 78% of this population. And all young people of color accounted for nearly 90%. So from this study that they did out of these 6 communities, bro, Atlanta, Columbus, Ohio, Dallas, Texas, right?
Yeah.
San Fran, Syracuse, and Washington State. Nearly 90% of them young people were black.
Mm-hmm.
These statistics mirror in large part the young people who find shelter and safety at covenant houses in the United States were 62%, nearly 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
So nearly 2/3 of our youth is in these covenant houses. These covenant houses are nothing but like group homes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're there because what? That's a place that they can go to and not be on the streets.
Well, being off the street doesn't guarantee safety because you still have people who are slumming and soliciting the homeless or financially unfortunate with sex, drugs, human trafficking.
Facts. And this is what's going on. It says people of color are dramatically more likely than white people to experience homelessness in the United States. This is no accident. It is the result of centuries of structural racism that have included historically oppressed people. So historically, it is said that failure is our birthright, bro.
Yeah. And you see it in the media. You see it in the house. This whole these narratives on and offline. If you don't do this, you're not this. And you're programmed to see your value through superficial means. They want to remove the internal and have you a prostitute for the external, which in order to be around certain pieces or certain places, you will give up a better part of yourself. You will allow yourself to be solicited sexually, socially, or whatever. That's why you got individuals who do porn to an extent to eat.
True. You will allow your comfort zone to become your coffin.
Or you've seen videos that people made a profit of for like crackheads going wild. You have people doing like bum fights and things like that nature.
I remember when those DVDs were out too.
Yeah.
We used to watch them on the block.
Yeah, you used to watch
fights.
Yeah.
Watching DVDs with crackheads doing all types of wild shit for money and crack. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And what a lot of us don't realize is today the crackheads are younger.
Yeah.
Them old junkies that we saw back in the 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of them are either cleaned up or they're dead.
Yeah.
The junkies that are out here today are young junkies.
Yeah.
Young fiends. Young.
It ain't even crack now because crack is old. It's weaker than weed
It's
right
meth.
now. It's meth and fentanyl.
Yep, fentanyl and meth. Exactly. That's what's in the streets.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And it says, let's continue. People of color are dramatically more likely than white people to experience homelessness in the United States. This is no accident. It is the result of centuries of structural racism that have excluded historically oppressed people, particularly Black and Native Americans, from equal housing, persistent barriers to wealth, community supports, lack of agency, and opportunities for economic mobility. That equals what? Redlining, persistent barriers to wealth, poor educational support. And let's also say negative media portrayal.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, all of these things play into opportunities for mobility.
Yeah. And you have those pieces of shit that use some of the homeless or unfortunate as prosperity props.
Oh man, that's true.
Like the Sally Struthers shit. But Right.
Mm-hmm. Or lately, what Soft White Underbelly has been doing.
Yeah.
How he literally goes to Skid Row to get content.
Yeah.
His content is based on people from Skid Row. Its entire channel.
Yeah.
Everyone he interviews, mostly all of them are from Skid Row. He found them on Skid Row, or he found this prostitute on the strip somewhere.
But how's that any different than what you see on social media? You got people who basically pillage people's wallets through cash apps or super chats and make fun of the so-called dusties or bums while profiting off their money and time.
Exactly. So we want to let y'all brothers know on today's show, man, regardless of all this shit that's working against us, failure is not your option. Don't ever select failure.
No.
Because we got a lot of shit going against us. As they say here in this article, and the first thing they speak on is systematic racism.
Yeah.
We see so many black children and youth at the Covenant House. Remember, I was just saying this.
Yeah.
Who have lived in the ugly shadow of racism. Covenant House President Kevin Ryan writes, they deserve unconditional love and absolute respect, but instead have faced discrimination and rejection. We see the scars of racism and prejudice against Black lives show up as poverty, homelessness, and human trafficking time and time again.
Right.
Pathways to youth homelessness that includes problematic foster placements. So there's a lot of our children who are in the foster care system who are being treated horribly.
Yep.
They're being sent to homes where these people are known for beating and mistreating children. They still sending children to this sick ass couple.
Yeah.
They sending our black kids there first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are some of the reasons why you see a lot of homeless youth. This is what they're saying. Problematic foster placements.
Yeah.
Or aging out of foster care. So when after they get too old to be in foster care, now they just left to be in the streets. Because they never had a family. So where they going? Where they going?
On their own.
On their own. Poverty and economic disadvantage, lack of access to housing, something they have a problem with giving black men. Yo ass, they won't help you with no type of housing.
Nope.
Nigga, get it on your own. Lack of access to housing, uncompleted high school education. Didn't we speak on that?
Yeah, we did.
Poor educational support. And criminal justice involvement prejudice communities of color, particularly black communities, and reveal the ongoing harm caused by systematic racism today.
Yeah.
So, fellas, with systematic racism being a problem for you, on top of racial discrimination and trauma, which we're going to get into, you still got to deal with your own personal stuff that you've been through in life.
Suppression.
And all of these things culminate into your personality and the way you move and the way you act. And a lot of guys are just saying that, man, at the end of the day, nothing I really do matters because I'm just a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you guys to understand, man, especially us brothers, that they're throwing the goddamn kitchen sink at us at this point. The gang violence is not enough. Abortions are not killing us all fast enough.
Yeah.
So they're throwing the kitchen sink at us, brothers. This is why the articles that you hear me and my brother reading from, you notice they don't have a problem speaking about racism, speaking about how white people are prejudiced anymore. You notice that. Well, before they wouldn't say this in articles.
No,
they would never have these numbers and all of this stuff. It's because they're trying to convince you, black man, that failure is your birthright. You'll never be shit. This is why we had to put you in slavery, because you were a savage. You'll never be shit. You're just a failure.
and there's a value in keeping you at the bottom, where you have chicken heads talking about you're a dusty, you're not this because you ain't doing this. When you see value in yourself, none of that propaganda matters nor works. It don't.
And it's not supposed to, because what it is negative media portrayal.
Yeah.
And negative media portrayal is spearheaded by discrimination and racism. Propaganda is part of structural racism.
Yeah.
It's part of what we see today. So as y'all can see on the screen here, they always gonna throw a black man in there. They're gonna always throw the black man in there. You see him?
Mm-hmm.
Just sitting there with his beard, looking lost. Looking lost. He just staring.
Yeah.
Because they want you to accept failure as you being a black man. When they say failure, they want the black man to pop up. When you type in failed men in the Google search, they want black men to pop up.
Yeah.
They want the next 10, 20 generations of young black women to think that the only thing a black man can be is a failure. And they want you young black men to feel that way and to express yourselves that way. Got anything to add to that, bro?
Nah, you covered it. I know there's more to the article. Yeah, you covered
So
that.
let's continue with the article. It's a long article. We're not gonna go through it all, but this is definitely the most important part of the article.
Hmm. All right, you got it? Okay, let's see. So now, you back, bro?
Yeah, go ahead, bro. I don't want to cut you off.
No, us and this article, even what it doesn't cover too, you don't have to be physically homeless. Think about the people you're around or places you go. Notice you'll get the most pushback or suppression by people who don't like the moves you make that violate their comfort zone with you. Like whenever you aspire to improve yourself, or let's say go to the gym. Let's say you decide to go after your respective passion. Do something that makes them uncomfortable, limits their access to you. You start taking pride in yourself and what you aspire to be. Now it becomes a problem. That's why they want you to maintain a comfort level to treat you like house shoes. And it's not your place. That's what you guys need to hear today. Like if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and just like in the last stream where you saw that picture of a guy sitting at the edge of the bed wondering, what the fuck do I have to do to get out of this? That's not your place. You might be there temporarily, but it's not meant for you to stay there.
No, it is not. Because as all winners say, losing is part of winning.
Mm-hmm.
But you can only be a failure when you give up. Right. This is why they're promoting that black men are losers and that we've always been losers because they want you young black men to totally throw in the towel in life.
Yeah.
See, because they've always called black men losers. But time and time again, we prove that we're the best fathers. Time and time again, we prove that we're the best stepfathers. We're the best big brothers. We're the best all of that shit compared to any other man.
Yeah.
But they want to continue to promote you being dusty, you not being a high value man, and all of this other bullshit on social media because they want you to accept and to grasp hold to failure.
And we're going to say this here and make no apologies about it. It is not your place to allow hopeless hoes to haggle down your price. There are far too many of these chuckleheads who don't know how to be feminine, be anything of substance outside of what they're trying to be. They don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't know how to clean themselves. They don't even know how to maintain a healthy representation of themselves. But when you come into the picture, she knows she has to be something she's not comfortable being. Responsible, selfless, feminine, clean, respectful. Maybe she was deprived of the opportunity to see what it's like to respect men because she didn't either. She was deprived of a father, or she was the product of a tender dick or a simp. Same thing with these guys who are out there pocket watching, sitting on the sidelines and getting upset because you're up and doing things that they either choose not to do, can't do, or weren't built to do. And that's why you start hurting yourself when you're trying to run your race and watch what the other person is doing. You lose sight of your path. They don't like it. They can eat a dick and choke slow. Something like that, babe.
Right. But I echo those same sentiments because, fellas, you have to regain, and this is why you always hear me say on my podcast, we got to heal before we build. Because we have to regain our vigilance.
Yeah.
And not, being a vigilante and running around hurting people, but just living with that fifth of fuck it every day.
Yeah.
And when you've accepted failure, what you've actually done was you didn't say fuck it. You said fuck me.
Yeah.
You gave up on yourself.
Yeah.
This is why my brother prescribes that we drink an ounce or a fifth, of fuck it every day, so we do not lose ourselves in this world, fellas.
Yeah.
So once you say fuck you, meaning fuck yourself, then you've actually turned over that bottle of fuck it and you emptied it out.
Yeah. And failure is part of the vetting process. You start learning what to do and what not to do. And many times over, you think about it, rejection can be a sincere form of protection. Be thankful you didn't get everything that you wanted. Because there's some things that you really deserve, but because favor isn't fair, you had a stay of execution. Because you've seen some guys who married the chick that you was pawning over earlier, and you see her later on, he's already got a migraine. He even suffered a stroke dealing with her.
Mm-hmm.
She's stressful. Or you're in a relationship and you dare to step outside her comfort zone, and now she's giving you hell, fucking like doing the silent treatment, doing all this emotional terrorism until you say, you know what? This whole bottle of fuck it is going to me. And I can't do this no more. You divorce yourself from your problem.
Mm-hmm. And we have to do that because failure is not our birthright. See, if you are constantly giving your fifth of fuck it to someone else,
Yeah.
then you're depriving yourself. And what you're actually telling yourself is you're willing to accept failure. Because while you're trying to save someone else from not failing, you're failing.
And you're making it cool for them to piss on you.
Of course. Because you've basically told them to piss on you.
Yeah.
By your actions, not by what you say, but by your actions, because you're basically prostituting your purpose. You're lending out the best parts that you should save for yourself. And what we're trying to get you guys to understand is, in today's society, that is promoted to black men.
Yeah.
That is promoted to continue to get ran through and ran over so you could be called the pieces of shit and the know nothing niggas that you always were.
And they do that because in many of us, they know in some kind of way or fashion, we were meant to be curse breakers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And they use these things to actually suppress the curse breakers.
Yeah.
And if you are listening to the Foundational Manhood Podcast, you are, if you haven't yet, you are a willing curse breaker. You're listening because you are willing to break the generational curses in your family and in your life. So let's read a little bit more of this article. It says racism negatively impacts a young person's sense of self. It is as teens that young people establish critical aspects of their identity within various environments, influences, and exposures that surround them. These forces can either create tension and deliver toxic levels of stress or build resilience and other strengths. What you think about that, bro?
Well, that goes into what we've been, especially you've been talking about. You got to heal before you build. Because when you start doing that, you start understanding that you were built to oppose environment. That's what makes diamonds. All that pressure. And I'm not saying like this is something you need. It's something that's going to happen. How you respond to adversity is going to expose the man that you are or the bitch that you choose to be. And we're meant for much more. In order to be leaders as we aspire to be, you're going to have to deal with adverse situations, both small and great. But great leaders create great leaders. That's what happens. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. And it is a heavy toll, especially when you're one of us. But you got to pay that cost to, drop your nuts, not tuck them.
Facts. And I was just watching an interview with Mace. And he was saying that a lot of these young rappers today, and we can equate this to the youth, they don't understand how greatness is established. Yeah. You'll never be great if you're never around no one that is great.
Man, say that again.
You will never be great if you're never around greatness.
Yeah.
If you're never, my dad told me this, and my dad told me that my grandfather told him this. You're only gonna go as far as the niggas you hang around.
Real shit.
You only gonna go as far as the niggas you hang around.
Yeah.
This is why my father was the kind of guy who left his neighborhood. He had friends in other neighborhoods. He went and got jobs in other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And this is why, as I got older, I would leave my neighbor. My father taught me that.
Yeah.
Because he always told me, hey, if you ever want more than this shit around here, you got to get from around here.
Yeah.
You see? And this is why young brothers, they promote hood to you. They use Little Baby and Young Thug and all of these dudes to promote hood shit to you so you could stay where the failure resides.
Yeah.
See, because Thug and Baby and Gunna and all them, they're not in the hood no more. They're not where the failure resides. You are. You still hanging around niggas that eat the last piece of the bread. You are still hanging around people who feel that failure is their birthright.
You know, and the salute what my brother says, like, you notice when you get around someone who doesn't accept failure as a birthright, you notice how shit starts moving a little faster. You start learning more about yourself. You get in a position to where you don't just get sleep, you have actual rest. And I'm going to say it because from personal experience. When we went to California for a whole week, and no, that wasn't cheap. That wasn't a intentional flex. It was a need for creative recharge. But every day we got up and we didn't need the alarm clock. The sun woke us up. Get out, nice shower, and just get up and go. You weren't worried about the cost of living a life. You was worried about the cost of wasting your time. Cost of not taking opportunities. The cost of being around people who don't support your growth. That's why I call it growing pains. Because as you grow, some of the people that want to keep you in that same position are going to stretch the fuck out of you. They want you to take root in failure. Why you got to do this over here? Why can't you be here and do this? Sometimes you have to get out your comfort zone because that air and the mindsets are stale. And if you're not careful, your passion will die before you do. That's why if you have to move, you have to make that painful move. I don't care if it's down the street or on the other side of the world. When you travel, it isn't solely for access to ass. It helps you to fuck the shit out of your purpose. Being a better man, learn a different language, learn the culture, learning more about yourself, increasing your mobility and education to where you become one hell of an asset that makes a serious impact and not become an infection.
Man, I don't know how to come behind that, bro. I'm gonna read a little bit more of this paragraph, and then we gonna go ahead and close this one out.
I mean, shit.
It says racism negatively impacts a young person's sense of self. Man, I just have to pause on that because that's powerful.
Yeah.
It is as teens that young people establish critical aspects of their identity within various environments, which is what we were just speaking on.
Yes,
various environments, influences, most of the time it's infections, and exposures that surround them. These forces can either create tension and deliver toxic levels of stress or build resilience and other strengths, says the book, Reaching Teens, in a new chapter devoted to examining the impacts of racism on young people. Racism also attempts to lock young people of color into low expectations for their lives. Failure is not your birthright.
Yes, sir. Real shit.
Because they're getting you to believe, they're trying to convince you that it is young black man, young drill rapper, young scammer, young dope dealer, young dope user.
Young conflict creator.
Bingo. Racism attempts to lock young people of color, not all young people. A lot of y'all young people think it's kumbaya. No. It attempts to lock young people of color, not all young people, okay?
Yeah.
Into low expectations for their lives. The authors add 2/3 of Black and Latino youth attend segregated schools that often have lower budgets that impact class size, teacher qualifications, and the availability of instructional resources. In these schools, youth of color are subject to biased perceptions of misbehavior. Oh, he got ADHD. He got autism. Perceptions of misbehavior by educators and stories that perpetuate a failure narrative.
Uh-oh. Man, where's that sheep at?
Bro, we gonna have to get one for us.
Yeah.
In these schools, I'm gonna read it again, bro.
Mm.
In these schools, youth of color are subject to biased perceptions of misbehavior by educators in stories that perpetuate a failure narrative. They are trying to convince your children at the youngest age, black men and black women, that they are failures.
Translation, they're trying to snuff out your light early.
Bingo.
That's what it comes down to. Let them believe they ain't shit, and we can do all kind of shit to them as an escape.
Exactly.
So that lets, I was going to say, that lets you know, motherfuckers know how powerful you are and can be. You're the last one to realize that shit. And when you do, it's a motherfucking problem. Notice how people start acting real fucked up when you discover yourself.
Man, final thoughts, bro.
Fellas, from the sound of our voice, from FMP, it is written, untucketh thine nuts. This is more than just being sexual or virile. We talking about you being creatively great, intellectually powerful, but having that level of impact where you can move the motherfucking crowd as you're supposed to. That's all about learning your rhythm. And when you get that cadence of confidence, you got other people who will follow because you're leading by example. You make it cool to be comfortable in your own skin. When you got the world beating you down and talking about you ain't this, you ain't that, that's a lie. Why would they spend billions, if not trillions, to talk to one who ain't shit? Why would you have to invest in so much to keep a shitbird down because you're not it? Once you break that propaganda through your actions, words, and intent, they're going to come at you. But this is where you start learning how to use those 4 P's on yourself, how to protect yourself, provide for yourself, problem solve for yourself, and fuck the shit out of your purpose by procreating the right way. They have to earn your time. They have to earn their place next to you. That's why you can't call everybody a brother, a friend, family. They got to earn their spot. But that requires you to take onus of your vetting process, which means taking onus of what you're worth, what you see is valuable, and can't be bought for cheap or on clearance. It's my final thought.
Man, oh no, I'm gonna come behind that. Simply,
hey, man, you don't do shit.
Simply, I'm gonna say this, fellas. We have to heal before we build.
God damn it.
Because the trauma that we experience from our families, but also from racism itself, what it's telling your psyche is that you're a failure. And we want you to know here on FMP that you're not a failure. You are the man who the goddamn world is afraid of waking the fuck up.
Real shit.
Okay? Just remember that. I'm your brother, DS1 Ross at FMP, my brother, the Book of Rona.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to catch y'all on the next one.
Never allow your comfort zone to become your coffin.
Peace.